Is still Rubbin Minds. Yes, we've had serious conversations, we've had a very funny segment to open the show, and now we're moving to the youth. And I have with me to discuss today a leadership blogger, and that is Raphael Akomolede. What is leadership blogging all about? Do you do like 7 tips to start your day or 7 tips of effective communication?
Well, it depends, but for me, I follow certain rules and processes. I don't just write about leadership. I write about leadership, but leadership is vast. Go into politics, go into encouraging youth about how to live responsibly, and also tips as well. But majorly, I focus on youths. So it's youth leadership, majorly, that I focus on. My blog, which is Champions Meal blog, that's champions and then meal, eating a meal. I started when I was 17.
Why did you decide to focus on the youth?
Wow. Well, I decided because, one, I'm a youth. And I noticed that youths need certain kind of responsibility. We need to be more serious, let me put it that way. And I've looked around and I've seen that very soon, the mantle of leadership is going to be changed to youths. And to be honest, we're not ready. We're not ready, if we want to be very honest.
So do you think when we look at the past elections, I mean, the youth played a major part,
yes,
but right now they're not occupying as much seats, getting the same kind of representation
yes.
that one would have expected?
And
you think it's because we were unprepared?
Yes and no. It's one thing that I've actually written about severally, that why is a minister for youth and sports over, I think it's about 50 and above, why is that? There are other, Japhet Amodua could have done it. I don't know whether it was approved or approached, but there are other youths, young people, that could have been minister for youth and sports.
When you say Japhet Amodua, do you mean the Japhet Amodua
yes.
or any Japhet Amodua?
It could be him,
leader?
it could be any youth leader that has that potential. But that's why I say yes and no. Yes, we have people that could have occupied that position, for example, that minister for youth and sports, and that's why I said yes. No, in the sense that I don't think the youths that we want to be in charge, if we put Japhet Amodua as Minister for Sports and youths, how he will relate with youths will be different from how Solomon Dalong will relate with youths. But you have to get youth attention. Right now, we're all scattered. Let me put it that way. Youths are not, they're going here and there majorly because there is no, give excuses about no jobs, and so on and so forth. But we need to get our responsibility, we need to get our acts together. We need to know what we want to do. If youths were in charge now, I don't see the okay.
You don't think it's going to be positive? So let's imagine a Japhet Amodua, several youth occupying several ministries. How would you see that?
Well, I don't mean that a Japhet Amodua should occupy several ministries.
No, I mean if we have youth occupying several ministries, not just the Ministry of Youth. So if we had a youth that, I mean, if we look at the UK, you have an MP that's under 20 years old.
Yes.
So if we had that same scenario at state level, at local level, and at federal level, what do you think will pan out?
Yeah, there are 2 things that I see. One, if you want to motivate youths in a way, you either force them or you engage them. Now, if you force them, you might not get the result that you want. Someone might say that, okay, I'm being responsible because someone threatened me to be responsible. But when you engage youth and give them responsibilities, tell them that, okay, you're going to be in charge of this, you're going to be in charge of that. It might yield some of certain kind of responsibility that this is my duty. Now, in the UK, like you mentioned, yes, there are younger people, but you can't compare the UK to Nigeria.
So definitely we have a leadership challenge.
Yes.
Now, what is your blog doing to address that leadership challenge and prepare this youth so that one day we can have an 18-year-old, I mean, if the Constitution allows, or a 20-something-year-old occupying a position of authority, and we would have, our minds at rest?
Great. The leadership blog actually gives one thing that we do. We give leadership quotes. We also give leadership tips. We also give leadership documentaries, and as a matter of fact, we're working. I'm CEO of my own organization, that's Champions Mill Organization, and it's a virtual leadership organization. We're pushing towards, before the end of the year, we're having our own leadership group and our own leadership foundation. Now, that leadership, the leadership group and leadership foundation would be like training facility for youths to be prepared for leadership. Now,
what kind of things are essential in terms of leadership? So give us like the 3 nuggets of leadership.
Well, one, I'll say that you have to be focused.
So focus.
You have to be focused. 2, you need responsibility. You need to, there's a quote that I saw that the first rule of leadership is that you need to accept faults. And we like pushing around blame and all, but we need to accept responsibility all the time. The third one I would say is that we need to be knowledgeable. If you want 3, I'll put it that way. Focused, responsible, and knowledgeable. Those 3, I believe, are necessary for youths to move forward, especially in Nigeria. There are things that I've seen, and one day I imagined that I went to a court once, and I saw that normally you have to bow to the judge. And I imagined, with all due respect to artists and entertainment, those in the entertainment industry, if an artist was a judge, I just imagined that the law court wouldn't be orderly. If you want to be honest, it won't be orderly, because you know that an entertainer has to be an entertainer in any way. So I looked at it that there are different areas that we need to put our strengths in. Everybody now is running towards the entertainment industry. Do we want a case that the next president that is going to come from Nigeria will be a musician?
Well, I mean, in the California state, you did have an actor become, the governor. But I want to put this to you. A lot of youth don't like to read. So that element of acquiring knowledge, how are they going to overcome that? A lot of people don't like to take responsibilities. As you said, they like to pass the blame, let somebody else take responsibility. So what are you doing to make sure, create that awareness that the youth are actually engaged and do what they need to do?
Great. Recently, I launched my book, my leadership book, Leonard Leads. It's available online for now, free. It's okay if I give the web address where you can download it.
Okay, so Leonard Leads.
Leonard Leads. It's actually www.championsmill.com/book. You can download it there. Now, the book has the 7 tools of leadership. Leonard is an acronym for the 7 tools of leadership. Now, these things that are in the book...
And what is Leonard? Let's just take that quickly.
Okay, the acronym. L stands for learning, E stands for enthusiasm, O stands for originality, N stands for newness, A stands for accord, R for revelation, D for discernment. So these things are learned in leadership. So if you want to know, in terms of discernment, I put their responsibility as well in the book. So if you want to know certain things that you need to do to be more responsible, my book is one.
So there are practical exercises and resources to actually...
It's actually my life story.
Okay.
It's actually my life story. And I thought when I mentioned about knowledge, it's not just about... yes, you mentioned that youth don't like to read.
So finally, just a piece of advice to get people reading more.
Well,
and we'll close on that.
Well, I'll say that, like I said, it's not that they don't like to read. They read novels, they read all kind of books. But I would say that what should motivate them to read is actually what they will get from reading. If you can, normally before they used to put about maybe whatever amount of money in a book, and they will say, okay, if you get to the middle of this page, this is what you will get. So youth should get some kind of motivation. To read books.
Yes, they should get the motivation, knowing that after reading the book, they will be more knowledgeable. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us on Rubbin Minds. And that is all we're going to be able to take today. You can join the conversation online with the hashtag Rubbin Minds, and we are at YNigerTV on Twitter and at YNiger on TV on Instagram. So till next week when Ebuka Obiuchindu returns, this is me signing out on Rubbin Minds. Bye-bye.